In the annals of covert operations, few names evoke as much unease and speculation as MKUltra.
It's a moniker that whispers of secret experiments, ethical transgressions, and the dark underbelly of intelligence gathering. For decades, the very idea of a government agency actively pursuing mind control techniques seemed confined to science fiction or paranoid fantasy. Yet, the reality, as it slowly unfolded, proved far more disturbing than any fictional narrative could suggest. This was not a theoretical exercise, it was a deep, sustained dive into the most vulnerable aspects of the human psyche, driven by fear and ambition in a volatile world. The mid-20th century was defined by the Cold War, an era of intense geopolitical tension, proxy conflicts, and an ever-present fear of ideological subversion. The United States, locked in a silent battle with the Soviet Union and China, saw enemies not just on battlefields, but within the minds of its citizens and adversaries. Reports of communist brainwashing during the Korean War fueled a profound sense of vulnerability, suggesting that the human mind itself could be turned into a weapon or a weakness. This fear became the fertile ground for unprecedented and morally ambiguous research.
In this climate of escalating fear, intelligence agencies sought every possible advantage. If the enemy could manipulate minds, the thinking went, then so must we.
The Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, was at the forefront of this quest. Formed just years prior, in 1947, the agency was still defining its boundaries and capabilities, often operating with minimal oversight. Its mandate was national security, and in the nascent field of psychological warfare, there were few established rules. The stage was set for an audacious and deeply controversial venture into the unknown.
Thus, in 1953, Project MKUltra was officially born. Overseen by Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, a chemist and the head of the CIA's technical services staff, its original purpose was ostensibly defensive, to develop countermeasures against hostile mind control and to enhance interrogation techniques. But its scope quickly expanded, veering sharply into offensive capabilities. The project aimed to explore every conceivable avenue of influencing, controlling, and manipulating the human mind, often with little regard for ethical boundaries or human rights. It was a blank check for psychological experimentation.
The budget allocated to MKUltra was substantial, though often obscured within other appropriations. Its clandestine nature allowed it to bypass traditional oversight, granting those involved immense freedom to pursue even the most outlandish theories. Funds were laundered through front organizations, academic institutions, hospitals, and even prisons, ensuring deniability and secrecy. This labyrinthine funding structure was a deliberate tactic to shield the project from scrutiny, blurring the lines between legitimate research and covert operations. The CIA was entering a morally gray area, funded by taxpayers, but hidden from them.
At the heart of many MKUltra experiments was the exploration of psychoactive drugs. LSD, or lysergic acid diethylamide, quickly became a substance of intense focus. Researchers believed it could unlock secrets of the mind, break down psychological defenses, and even induce suggestibility. But LSD was just one tool in a vast chemical arsenal.
Mescaline, psilocybin, heroin, barbiturates, cannabis, and numerous other compounds were tested, often in combinations and extreme doses, all aimed at understanding their effects on human behavior, memory, and will. The goal was total control.
Perhaps the most chilling aspect of MKUltra was its reliance on unwitting human subjects.
Patients in mental institutions, prisoners, drug addicts, and even ordinary citizens were often subjected to these experiments without their informed consent. They were given potent psychoactive substances, subjected to hypnosis, sensory deprivation, or electroshock therapy, all without understanding the true nature of their involvement. The ethical implications were profound, betraying fundamental principles of medical research and human dignity. These individuals became pawns in a covert war, their lives irrevocably altered. Beyond chemical interventions, MKUltra delved deeply into the realm of hypnosis. Researchers sought to explore its potential for memory retrieval, creating amnesia, implanting false memories, or even programming individuals to perform actions against their will.
Could a person be hypnotized into becoming an unwitting assassin? Could vital information be extracted or suppressed under trance?
These were the questions driving the research, pushing the boundaries of what was believed possible, and raising terrifying prospects for the future of warfare and intelligence. The line between therapy and torture blurred.
Another grim facet of MKUltra involved sensory deprivation. The idea was to break down an individual's sense of self and reality by isolating them from all external stimuli.
Subjects were placed in soundproof rooms, dark cells, or even submerged in water tanks, severing their connection to the outside world. The psychological toll was immense, often leading to hallucinations, paranoia, and a profound disassociation. The intent was to make individuals more susceptible to suggestion and easier to manipulate, effectively erasing their former identities to build new ones. Electroshock therapy, or ECT, a controversial treatment even in legitimate medical contexts, found its place within MKUltra's arsenal. While typically used to treat severe mental illness, the project explored its potential for inducing amnesia, erasing traumatic memories, or disrupting an individual's personality. Administered often without consent or proper medical supervision, these sessions could be brutal, leaving subjects disoriented and with severe memory loss. The goal was not healing, but control, to see how far the mind could be pushed and reshaped through extreme physical and psychological intervention. Some of MKUltra's most disturbing experiments took place outside U.S. borders, notably at the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal, Canada. Under the guise of legitimate psychiatric research, Dr. Ewan Cameron, a respected psychiatrist, conducted de-patterning experiments. These involved inducing prolonged comas with drugs, then subjecting patients to intense electroshock, sensory deprivation, and repeated playback of recorded messages. The aim was to erase existing psychological patterns and reprogram the mind. The results were catastrophic, leaving many patients with permanent brain damage and severe memory loss, far from their original condition.
MKUltra was not an isolated venture.
It built upon earlier, even more secretive projects like Artichoke, initiated in the late 1940s. Artichoke focused on developing truth serums and other methods to extract information from uncooperative subjects. It explored combinations of hypnosis, drugs, and other techniques for interrogation. MKUltra was essentially an expanded, more systematic continuation of these initial, often crude, forays into mind manipulation, consolidating various scattered efforts under one umbrella. The progression reflected a growing institutional commitment to this morally fraught research area. One of the most famous and tragic incidents linked to MKUltra involved Dr. Frank Olson, a bacteriologist working for the Army's Special Operations Division.
In November 1953, Olson was unknowingly given LSD by his CIA superiors, including Dr. Gottlieb, during a retreat.
Days later, suffering from severe psychological distress and paranoia, Olson fell to his death from a 10th-story hotel window in New York City. The CIA initially claimed it was a suicide, but the circumstances raised profound questions about the agency's responsibility and its willingness to experiment on its own personnel.
It remains a dark stain on the project's history.
For years, Frank Olson's death was ruled a suicide, a narrative fiercely maintained by the CIA. His family was initially told little, and later offered a meager settlement without full disclosure of the circumstances. It wasn't until decades later, through investigations and the release of declassified documents, that the true nature of his LSD exposure came to light.
The subsequent revelation shocked the nation, exposing the cold, calculated risks the agency was willing to take, even with its own employees. The case symbolized the project's profound disregard for human life and transparency. The case of Frank Olson, and countless others, starkly illustrates the complete abandonment of ethical principles within MKUltra. Informed consent, a cornerstone of medical and psychological research, was systematically ignored. The well-being of subjects was secondary to the pursuit of intelligence objectives. This created a profound betrayal of public trust, revealing a government agency willing to inflict harm, both physical and psychological, upon its own citizens and those under its care. The very definition of scientific and moral conduct was not merely bent, but utterly broken. The true scale of MKUltra was staggering.
It encompassed an estimated 149 subprojects, many of which involved human experimentation, and operated across dozens of universities, hospitals, prisons, and pharmaceutical companies. The sheer breadth of the research, from toxicology to parapsychology, demonstrated the CIA's determination to leave no stone unturned in its quest for mental control. It was a sprawling, decentralized network, making it incredibly difficult to track, supervise, or even fully comprehend its full implications until much later.
The numbers hint at a monumental, secret endeavor.
While drugs and hypnosis dominated the public narrative, MKUltra explored an array of other, sometimes bizarre, avenues.
Remote control of human behavior, radiation experiments, electroshock, subliminal messaging, and even psychic warfare were all within its purview. Researchers investigated every plausible and implausible means of manipulating perception, memory, and consciousness. The project reflected a desperate, sometimes unscientific, attempt to harness the unknown, driven by the belief that any advantage, no matter how remote, could turn the tide in the Cold War ideological battle. In 1973, amidst a growing climate of public scrutiny towards government agencies, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered the destruction of all MKUltra records. This pivotal decision effectively wiped clean much of the project's paper trail, obscuring the full extent of its activities, its participants, and its victims. Had this order been fully executed, the public might never have known the truth. However, a small cache of financial records inexplicably survived, providing the crucial breadcrumbs that would eventually lead to the project's exposure. It was a deliberate act of obfuscation. The Watergate scandal of the early 1970s ignited a national demand for government transparency and accountability.
As the public grew increasingly suspicious of executive overreach and covert operations, a wave of investigations began to sweep through Washington.
It was in this environment that whispers of the CIA's secret programs began to surface.
The scandal, while unrelated to MKUltra directly, created the perfect storm for journalists and politicians to start pulling back the curtain on the intelligence community's more unsavory practices, paving the way for eventual revelations. In 1975, President Gerald Ford established the Rockefeller Commission, tasked with investigating CIA activities within the United States. While its initial focus wasn't MKUltra, the commission stumbled upon some of the project's surviving records. These fragments offered the first concrete, albeit incomplete, evidence of widespread human experimentation, drug testing on unwitting citizens, and other abuses. It was a preliminary crack in the wall of secrecy, confirming some of the most outlandish rumors and setting the stage for more in-depth congressional inquiries. The truth was starting to emerge. Following the Rockefeller Commission's findings, the U.S. Senate launched its own extensive investigation, spearheaded by Senator Frank Church. The Church Committee's mandate was broader and more aggressive, aiming to expose the full scope of intelligence abuses. It was this committee that, despite the destruction of records, managed to piece together enough evidence to publicly expose Project MKUltra in 1975. The revelations were sensational: illicit drug experiments, mind control attempts, and the disturbing death of Frank Olson were all laid bare, shaking public confidence in the CIA to its core.
The public reaction to the Church Committee's findings was one of widespread shock and outrage.
The idea that a government agency could conduct such invasive, unethical, and potentially harmful experiments on its own citizens, often without their knowledge or consent, was deeply unsettling. It fueled a growing distrust in government institutions and sparked a national debate about the limits of intelligence operations and the necessity of robust oversight. For many, it confirmed their worst fears about the unchecked power of clandestine organizations. The foundations of trust were severely eroded. Despite the gravity of the revelations, direct accountability for those involved in MKUltra was remarkably limited. Many of the key figures, including Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, had already retired by the time the scandal broke. While there were congressional hearings and public condemnations, few faced criminal charges. This lack of severe consequences further exacerbated public cynicism, suggesting that those who committed egregious ethical violations within the intelligence community could operate with virtual impunity. The systemic failures were acknowledged, but individual culpability was largely sidestepped.
For the unwitting victims of MKUltra, the exposure of the project was a mixed blessing.
While it validated their often bizarre experiences and explained their profound suffering, it offered little in the way of true redress.
Many individuals came forward, detailing lives shattered by the experiments.
Some successfully sued the government, receiving settlements for their injuries, but these were often inadequate given the profound and lasting damage inflicted.
The process of seeking justice was protracted and emotionally draining, leaving many feeling that full restitution for their lost lives was impossible.
In some cases, the U.S. government made gestures of atonement. In 1995, President Bill Clinton issued a formal apology to the families of victims of government radiation experiments, acknowledging the wrongs committed. While not specifically for MKUltra, it represented a broader recognition of past ethical abuses in secret projects.
Years earlier, the CIA made an out-of-court settlement with the Olsen family, tacitly acknowledging its role in his death.
These actions, however, came decades too late for many and often felt like attempts to close a chapter without fully addressing the deep moral wounds. The legacy of MKUltra extends far beyond its specific experiments. It stands as a stark reminder of the ethical imperative in scientific research and intelligence operations. It highlighted the dangers of unchecked power, the erosion of human rights in the name of national security, and the profound damage inflicted when scientific curiosity is divorced from moral responsibility. The project forced a crucial re-evaluation of oversight mechanisms and the need for transparency, even in the most sensitive government endeavors.
Its lessons continue to resonate in contemporary debates about ethics and technology.
MKUltra sowed deep seeds of public distrust in government institutions. The revelations fueled conspiracy theories and skepticism about official narratives, particularly regarding the actions of intelligence agencies. For many, MKUltra became shorthand for the government's capacity for secrecy and manipulation, contributing to a broader culture of doubt that persists to this day. This erosion of public confidence, once broken, is incredibly difficult to rebuild, impacting everything from public health initiatives to foreign policy support.
The project's fallout continues to shape perceptions.
Even decades after its exposure, MKUltra remains a subject of intense speculation and fascination.
Were all the records truly destroyed? Are similar programs still active under different names?
These questions continue to circulate, fueled by the secretive nature of intelligence work and the chilling details of the original project. The lack of complete transparency has only served to perpetuate the mystery, ensuring that MKUltra continues to capture the public imagination and serve as a cautionary tale of covert overreach.
Its shadow lingers, a testament to its profound impact. The story of MKUltra is also a testament to the power of persistent journalism and legislative oversight.
Without the tenacious efforts of reporters, the courage of whistleblowers, and the determination of congressional committees, the project might have remained buried forever. It underscores the vital role of a free press and an independent legislature in holding powerful institutions accountable, even when faced with significant resistance and secrecy. The truth, however unpalatable, eventually found a way to surface, offering a crucial lesson in democratic checks and balances.
In the wake of MKUltra and other intelligence scandals, significant reforms were implemented to prevent similar abuses. Congressional oversight committees were strengthened, and stricter guidelines were put in place regarding human experimentation and covert operations. Laws like the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or FISA, were enacted to provide judicial oversight for surveillance. While these measures aim to draw clear lines, the constant evolution of technology and national security threats means the ethical dilemmas surrounding intelligence work remain a perpetual challenge, requiring constant vigilance and scrutiny. The debate sparked by MKUltra continues today. Where do we draw the line between national security and individual rights? What constitutes acceptable risk in the pursuit of intelligence? How much secrecy is too much in a democratic society? These are complex questions with no easy answers, made even more pertinent by rapid advancements in neuroscience, artificial intelligence, and psychological profiling. MKUltra serves as a permanent reference point,
a cautionary tale reminding us of the profound consequences when these lines are crossed in the darkest corners of government power. While the overt methods of MKUltra, like involuntary LSD administration, are no longer sanctioned, the principles of psychological warfare have merely evolved. Modern intelligence operations utilize sophisticated data analysis, social media manipulation, and advanced behavioral psychology to influence populations and target individuals. The tools are different, but the fundamental goal, to understand and influence the human mind, persists. The lessons of MKUltra serve as a crucial historical precedent, highlighting the imperative for ethical considerations in all forms of influence operations, covert or otherwise. MKUltra's unsettling narrative has permeated popular culture, appearing in countless books, films, and television series. Its themes of secret government experiments, mind control, and unwitting subjects resonate deeply with audiences, often tapping into primal fears about authority and personal autonomy. From science fiction thrillers to gritty dramas, the project's legacy continues to fuel fictional explorations of ethical boundaries and unchecked power, ensuring that the questions it raised remain a part of our collective consciousness, reminding us of a very real, very dark chapter in history.
At its core, the story of MKUltra is one of profound human cost.
Behind the technical terms and project names were real individuals whose lives were irrevocably damaged. The suffering endured by unwitting subjects, the ethical compromises made by researchers, and the enduring shadow cast over the intelligence community underscore the heavy price of unchecked ambition. It serves as a somber testament to the fragility of human rights and the critical need for constant vigilance against the abuse of power, especially when shrouded in the cloak of national security. As we close this chapter on MKUltra, we are left with a sobering understanding of how far institutions can stray from their moral compass when driven by fear and secrecy. The project's eventual exposure, however incomplete, was a victory for transparency and accountability. It remains a crucial case study in the dangers of scientific hubris, governmental overreach, and the fundamental importance of human dignity. The questions it raised about control, consent, and the limits of power continue to echo, urging us to never forget the lessons learned from this disturbing era of covert experimentation.